And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody being here. J.R. Dukes at your service. Welcome to the channel. If you are new here, you have found the home of the free-minded patriots. We are all about ending indoctrination, learning how to deal with the police, and basically understanding the world that we are living in right now. I just hit the buttons to go. So I want to make sure everybody can hear me clearly. If you are a returning subscriber to the channel, welcome. Appreciate everybody joining me as always. Looks like we're good on the X platform. And let's just make sure. Looks good on X. Looks good on YouTube. Welcome to everybody piling in. And, of course, our friends on Twitch. Appreciate everybody joining us today. We got a lot to go over today. Lots of news to go over. And let's see. If you'd like to join the conversation today, feel free to do so. Let me make sure I put the direct link. You can simply click on that link if you just want to call in. You're welcome to call into the show. You don't have to appear on video. If you'd like to join by video, feel free to do so. Otherwise, feel free to use the chats. Any type of questions, comments, that's what I am here for, to encourage you, explain, discuss, enlighten, right? Okay, good enough. All right. I think everything is working the way it should be working. If you wouldn't mind, take a minute, introduce yourself, say hello, let us know where you are from. Generally have people from all over the world, so makes for an interesting part of our conversation. So what do you think about what's going on today? I mean, they've had a lot of information bouncing around with that individual that shot the head of United Healthcare in New York City. We're going to be talking about him today, and I have been practicing how to somewhat nailed. In addition to that, we're going to talk about Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle, his fiance, and published reports now say his ex-fiance, unfortunately. Apparently, Donald Trump Jr. was seen somewhere here in Florida. I think it was Palm Beach. We'll take a look at the article together. And he has made a new friend, apparently, because they were seen holding hands, which I guess is all right. I kind of like the pairing of Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr. I have been predicting, and one thing that was always on my mind was the fact that Governor Newsom out of California, you know, him and Kimberly Guilfoyle used to be married, at least for 2 or 3 years back in the early 2000s. Well, obviously they divorced, but I always thought it'd be interesting if Donald Trump Jr. ends up running for president after his father, Donald Trump, is completed with his next 4 years. It would just be one of those interesting things if he indeed married Kimberly Guilfoyle and he was having a debate with the Democratic nominee, Gavin Newsom. I just thought it would be interesting chitter chat. But I digress. We're also going to talk about Donald Trump's nominees, and there are some, well, I guess threats. There should be threats, and that has to do with these senators to either put up or shut up. We want to know exactly who is a rhino in the traditional sense. Are you going to support the Republican ticket, or are you not? I mean, after all, you have the Republicans should maintain control of the House. They keep picking from the House is one thing I am concerned about, to fill President Trump's cabinet, but the margin is so thin. It is somewhat worrisome, at least as far as I'm concerned. And then, of course, on the Senate side, I believe they have 53 senators, 54 senators, something like that. There should be no problem pushing through Donald Trump's nominees. And I'm glad to see Donald Trump sticking by his nominees. He has already let go of Matt Gaetz. And you don't want to get in a situation where you are having anybody that puts up any type of complaint or any type of alleged problem with a candidate that you have the president who is looked to for leadership. And, you don't want Donald Trump just turning his back on these people. I'm glad to see that he is standing by the people that stand behind him. I mean, after all, that is one of the main definitions of leadership in my mind. And I would think if I was a person close and supporting Donald Trump and he nominated me for a position, that he would be there to have my back. And we're going to talk about that a little bit as time allows. All right, so let's go ahead and let's switch over to the first thing I want to chit-chat about for a minute. Let's go straight into the J.R. Dukes feed. Got a few things on here I want to talk about. First of all, did you know Donald Trump according to reports, we'll see if it actually comes true or not, he is supposed to be the person of the year. We have to use the word person now because everything is so darn politically correct. You can't just say man of the year or woman of the year. It has to be person of the year. Person of the year, Time Magazine. I'm guessing this is looking pretty official. Donald Trump looks like he has that nod, and obviously well deserved. There was some speculation that Kamala Harris would be the person of the year, which I don't really understand that, but perhaps they're trying to be woke and politically correct as always. Just a little irritating sometimes with all that wokeness. But if Donald Trump indeed has the coverage as shown here, that would be fantastic. Zach, thank you for being here. Welcome to the program. Appreciate you listening in as always. And I hope your cats are doing well, my friend. Always good to hear from you. And let's continue on here. Now, there has been a lot of talk today in the news about these mystery drones all over the northeastern United States. What is this about? What is going on? I got a few comments that I have flagged here, and I want us to talk about it because to me, and again, it's just my opinion because we don't officially know exactly what is going on, but clearly it sounds to me like this is yet another failure of the Biden administration. How can you have something flying overhead that can risk our national security and yet you're doing nothing about it? I just don't understand what these people think their job is. Remember the Chinese balloon that was flying all the way across the United States, and Biden, under pressure, only when it was leaked publicly, finally decided to take decisive action on that. Rosemarie Fiera, thank you for being here, young lady. It's always a pleasure to have you as part of our community too. Thank you for being here. All right, so this is a gentleman by the name of Rich McHugh, and he's a New Jersey state rep. Actually, this is New Jersey state rep is posted by Rich. His name is Brian Bergen. He walked out of let's just say the way they titled it is a Homeland Security briefing. And it was pertaining to these drones. And I don't know if you've seen this on the news or not, but he was not a happy camper when it comes to what he heard or did not hear. Let's just listen in on this for a second and then
want to follow it because
you can talk about it.
So you're here today. You were just inside. You walked out. Why?
I walked out because it was worthless. It was the biggest amateur hour presentation I've ever seen about anything. Okay. It was ridiculous. There were no answers. Every question that was asked by a member of the state legislature, great questions, no answers, no resolution. They don't know where the drones are coming from. They don't know who's doing it. They don't know why they're doing it, but they say there's no credible threat. It was annoying to be there. I drove 2 hours to be here today, spent an hour in there. I got to drive 2 hours back. The biggest waste of 5 hours in my entire life.
So why do you think they called this meeting?
No idea. Why would you call a meeting to tell people you don't know anything? I have no idea. And then when the legislators would ask questions, there were no answers. Here's the most frustrating part. The colonel of the state police said that he had a helicopter of his flying above one of these drones, a 6-foot drone or something. I can't remember exactly what he said. And he felt unsafe for his helicopter, so he just let it go. Just let it go. Where'd it go? Who knows?
What is going on with the people that are supposed to be in charge of our government and the people that are supposed to be protecting you, protecting me, protecting our families? What is this about? Nobody can make decisions, I'm guessing, nowadays, right? Well, in most countries that I know of, if there is something unknown that is flying overhead, especially when it's around military bases or sensitive, intelligent type places, they will simply blow it out of the sky. Of course, Joe Biden would and will not do what he's supposed to do to protect us all. And unfortunately, that is so obvious, and it's unfortunate. Here is Josh Halling discussing this subject, and it's a short clip. Let's take a quick peek and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, you can't tell me that we don't know what that is. I just think they're not being honest with us. I think that if we don't know, if our government really has no idea, then they're even more incompetent than I thought. We've got to get to the bottom of this, and they need to level with the American people about what's going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's exactly right about that. There is no way that they don't know what these drones are. Clearly, it's some kind of foreign government. I heard today, at least in one report that I read, somebody was saying basically this has to do with Iran. or at least somebody that doesn't like our country. But he allegedly had some type of contact inside the government, and this is what was leaked to him, was the fact that these are drones coming from what he described as a mothership. Can you imagine that? A mothership. Sounds like something out of the movie V, does it not? Where you have these drones every night. They said this has been happening every night for approximately the last 30 to 60 days, except for Thanksgiving, which I thought was interesting, except for Thanksgiving. It's kind of like they're Americans and they're going to go ahead and take off Thanksgiving from doing whatever they're doing. I don't know. It's just stunning, the arrogance, the incompetence. These people all but have effectively abandoned their jobs to keep us safe. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious if you guys feel the same way I feel. It just, at this point, it doesn't seem to be anything major, but we don't know. There's also been some printed material that I've been reading about President Donald Trump elect, and folks are very worried about his safety. And that is a project that I'm continuing to work on. I'm getting some resources together on that and talking to some individuals who are concerned about what I just described. And that is, they are worried about ongoing attempts by Iran and who else may want to do harm to President Donald Trump elect, trying to target him before he takes office, which frankly is scary, to put it bluntly. And when you have people like Iran that have made open threats against our former president at the time, Donald Trump, and now our President Donald Trump elect, what is it with Joe Biden, his administration, that they allow that type of outright threats to be said in the world news or just publicly to the world at large? And yet we do nothing about it. Listen, when I was growing up, if you made a threat against a former sitting or future president of the United States, that was an act of war. I don't really know any other way to say it any more clear. So this is another repost by Congressman Jeff Van Drew. And his comment is, first, a Chinese spy balloon drifted across U.S. airspace for a week. Now, unidentified drones are flying over New Jersey, avoiding radar detection. Gaps in our airspace are being exploited. And because of it, the safety of America is at risk. And I agree with that. Let's take a look at this quick clip and we'll talk
Trump National
on the other
Golf Club
side.
Isn't far from the Picatinny Arsenal military base, which some thought may be behind the drones, but the base tells Fox News, quote, "While the source and cause of these aircraft operating in our area remain unknown, we can confirm that they are not the result of any Picatinny Arsenal related activities." Now, Fox News also spoke with Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey. He said it doesn't appear the pilots of these drones are breaking any laws, rules, or regulations. They're staying out of restricted airspace, which he says is an indication that they know what they're doing.
I do not believe it's the U.S. military. And if it is, and if they're doing exercises, shame on them for the disorganized way they are doing it.
I know that clip might be a little low as far as the volume is concerned, but the bottom line is everybody's just giving their opinion on what these basically UFOs, or what they call UAPs now. They don't know what they are. And it's not that they believe necessarily that these are alien or anything like that. What they believe, or what they're concerned about, it is it could be a bad actor, someone like Iran or some other entity intent on doing harm to the United States. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that cannot be tolerated. So I'll stay on top of it, and I'll see exactly what type of resolution they come up with. I was really disappointed on that last clip, the second to last clip we just watched, where they actually had a helicopter hovering close to one of these drones, and yet they were afraid, is what it boils down to. So they went ahead and discontinued trying to track that particular drone. I mean, come on, shoot it down, do something, do whatever it takes to defend our homeland and defend our sovereignty and our airspace. Let's see, Hacky Man, thanks for being here, my friend. My son met both Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly, and she is a rude snob. Well, that's unfortunate. Donald Trump Jr. is the nicest man. I've always heard Donald Trump Jr. is extremely polite, very charismatic. I have not heard anything necessarily bad against Kimberly, but I can't really say one way or the other. I have always liked her as far as being part. What was she on, the 5 on Fox News? Some some many years ago, or how long it's been now. I've always thought she was highly intelligent. Obviously, she's very well spoken. By the way, that's one of the other stories today is that I'm sure there has to be a correlation here, but Donald Trump, president-elect, not junior, but the president-elect, it's fortunate for her that today he has appointed her as ambassador to Greece. So kind of makes everybody kind of giggle a little bit and laugh, because it's kind of like they've broken up. Nothing official has been said yet, but if they have indeed broken up, remember, it wasn't just a breakup. These people have been together a very long time, since I believe 2017, 2018. So they've been together a number of years. In addition to that, they were engaged to be married. This was his fiance. So, I mean, I realize things like that happen, but it's, I guess it is what it is, right? But it's funny to me how, boom, now she is ambassador to Greece. So it's like, get her out of the United States, let her go somewhere else. I don't know if that was the plan or not, but it's interesting to me. My friend Sapphire, how you doing? Thank you for being here. He says, yeah, Kimberly has a reputation of being a hothead and vindictive. Well, I don't know either way. I have seen reports online where she's real nice, and then I've seen reports to where she has, let's just say, a temperamental side. Zach says they have to know whose drones they are and what they are doing. I agree with you, Zach. They have to know something. It's just like that Chinese balloon. Remember, if you think back, at first they were just ignoring it, like it's not even happening. There's no balloon there. And then they, as the days went by and more press coverage was afforded that story, then they started changing their story that, yeah, we're aware of it and we don't want to bring it down. And they had a list of excuses. Basically, they didn't want to harm anyone on the ground. Same old excuses they generally always say. And I'm sure it's a valid excuse at time, but had it not been in the news and had people not been paying attention to the story, I'm certain 100% they would have allowed the balloon to fly on out over the Atlantic and head back home to Mother China. And then, of course, this time they did not, which is fortunate. All righty, everything's looking good. So we're going to continue on there. Now, this next clip, I just got a few of these clips, then I want to get right into the main stories right here. I'm still tracking President Biden and the so-called preemptive pardons. What do you all think about that? First of all, I necessarily don't take any joy by saying, I told you so, I told you so. This is the way it's going to be, my friends. This is the way it's going to be in American politics from this administration forward, because of President Joe Biden and his associates that has taken the United States into what I can only describe as a banana republic, which is extremely unfortunate. Y'all know that I'm a patriot. I bleed red, white, blue. I love our country. We truly have the greatest country that God has ever allowed to grace our country. But listen, people are people. They're sinful. They make bad choices. And Joe Biden is no exception. The problem I have is he made the deliberate choice to take us down this road of effectively a banana republic, to where you have the party in power going after their perceived adversaries. It's just something that I never thought I would see in the United States of America. And as a result, what you're going to see from now on, they really have no choice. Now, because of Joe Biden, they're going to have to give these, well, I don't call them preemptive pardons. I'm going to use another term. I'm going to call them blanket pardons. They're just going to have these pardons that basically say anybody and everybody associated with my administration that claims this pardon to their benefit is hereby pardoned of any type of criminal activity, known or unknown, perceived or unperceived, charged or not charged, against the United States of America. It's going to have to be something like that, or they're going to have to take anybody and everybody associated with the current administration, and they're just going to have to start passing out pardons. But that's just the way it's going to be. It's extremely unfortunate. And, I've mentioned this before, that I was hoping when it comes to these pardons that basically Donald Trump simply would not go after the people that did him so wrong. And I was thinking that might be the best course of action. And of course, as we've talked about on here, I don't see it that way anymore. Clearly, Donald Trump is going to have to go after anybody who broke the law. to send a message to let them know that this is not going to be tolerated in America, or at least people that decide to engage in this, they always have to be wondering that if the other party comes back into power, they have this type of criminal / civil exposure. And I think that's about the only way to solve this. At first, I'm thinking it's not a good idea because that's what we call the escalation game. And anytime you play the escalation game, it always ends in everybody losing. I don't see any other alternative. If you guys have another alternative, put it in the comments. But I just don't see it as any other way that they don't have any choice. They're going to have to issue the pardons. If they don't, they know that Donald Trump, rightly so, is going to go after them for any crimes they may have committed. How would you like to be on the FBI and you are the agent that went through his wife's panty drawer? I would say that is going to be a problem for somebody. I know that I would be pretty PO'd. I'm sure you would be too. All right. Hello, Julianne. Thank you for being here. As always, I understood it had to be a charged crime. No, it does not. In Richard Nixon's case back in the 1970s, he had not been indicted. He had not even been charged with a crime. Yet Gerald Ford, and I believe looking back through history, he made the right call. He did not think the United States would do well on the world stage. It just would not be a good look for our country for the same reasons I've been outlining during this conversation. We don't want to be perceived as a banana republic. So it does not have to be a crime that's already been charged, or it does not even have to list out the crimes. As a matter of fact, one of the, I don't know how many videos ago we went over the actual wording of the Hunter Biden pardon. And in that pardon, it has language like I just described. I used to draw up, it wasn't pardons, obviously, but I used to draw up occasional releases for different companies that I ran. And it's just something as a normal course of business that you have to do. You basically are paying someone money to settle something or whatever the situation might be. And it's very normal to use language like that. I've never seen it per se in a pardon, but I have seen them in releases, and you generally outline what I just said. This particular release is by way of buying peace, and it endures to the benefit of any agent, employee, executive, subcontractor, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of what we call boilerplate language. And that is kind of what they're putting on these pardons, or they're going to have to put on these pardons. But that's a great question, Julianne. You do not have to be charged with ABC crime in order for it to be pardoned. And again, just look back at the pardon that was issued to Richard Nixon for context on that. But thank you for that question. Sapphire said, right, Julian, they have to be charged. And no, that's not true, Sapphire. That is not true, my friend. Just look at the Hunter Biden pardon. He has already been convicted of, matter of fact, let me see. I'll see if I can pull it up real quick. They do not have to be convicted of a crime. When you read the Hunter Biden pardon, it covers the actual crimes that are happening, or that I should say he's been charged for and or convicted of. But the language goes on to say any and all crimes committed against the United States of America. So give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. I think I can find it real quick. Hunter Biden pardon. And we'll see if we can get it in a PDF and see if this pulls up. Executive grant of clemency. I think I have it here. Yeah, here we go. I got the pardon. Let me switch over. And we'll take a quick peek at it together. So this is one of these unpredicted moments where we take a quick detour and look at something, but I think this is something well worth looking at. So I'll get right back to you, Sapphire, on that. I just want to clear it so we can see this screen. Let me blow this up a little bit. Okay, executive grant of clemency, aka pardon, by Joseph R. Biden, or to Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, to all whom these presents shall come, greeting, be it known that this day I, Joseph R. Biden Jr., the President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, I have granted unto Robert Hunter Biden a full and unconditioned pardon for those offenses against the United States to which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2014. If you notice, when he put the dates on here as to what dates this pardon covers, this is back right before he started working for Burisma and some of these other companies in China, any of his dealings with Ukraine. He's making sure they're all covered. He wants to make darn sure that President Donald Trump cannot come after his family, specifically his son. And in my opinion, he's hoping to shield himself. In other words, the President Biden, Joseph Biden, is hoping that he does not get, I should say, be on the receiving end of some type of criminal charges that is testified to by his son. Now, the negative to a pardon is that Congress, for example, could compel Hunter Biden to appear and to give testimony. And he would have to do so because you don't have any Fifth Amendment privilege. Like we talk about on this channel all the time about your right to remain silent. Well, you don't have such right to remain silent in that particular context. However, if it was me, I would push it to some degree. I would state that I'm worried about some type of state proceeding, which, of course, federal law, a federal pardon does not cover any type of state crimes during this period of time. So I would just say that I would be worried if I spoke that I could have some type of state crime. And if you want an example of that, look no further than sweet Fannie Willis of Fulton County, Texas, Fulton County, Georgia, the DA there. So that would be the example. But for the most part, he could be compelled in the context of a federal proceeding, such as appearing before a House Oversight Committee, where he would have to give some type of testimony. But continuing on, including but not, this is the kind of language I was talking about, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David C. Weiss, docket number such and such, in the United States District Court for the District Court of Delaware, docket number such and such, in the United States Court for the Central District of California, and testimony thereof I have undersigned my name below. So this is the president signing. So look at the wording. He's saying and it's really important to check out the word against the United States, for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed. That's the loosey-goosey language that I was talking about. And there's another or right here, which is important, or taken part in. And then he specifies all the way from the beginning of 2014 all the way to the day of the pardon, December 1st, 2024. And then he goes forward and he says, including but not limited to everything he's been charged with and or convicted of to date. So yes, this is a full, absolute, complete, unchallengeable, in my opinion, pardon that's given to the President of the United States. And again, you don't have to specify out whatever the crime may or may not have been. So I hope that clarified everything. Let me check back with the questions here. And all right, let's see. Yeah, Sapphire, thanks for that question. I appreciate that. So they have to be charging. Okay, we just talked about that. And then Julianne, make them all pay the ill-gotten gains back. Yep, too late for that. That's not going to happen unless somehow they can find let's just call it a Republican Fannie Willis that would have jurisdiction over something like this. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be the only exception to this that I could see play out. Sapphire, and once you receive a pardon, you no longer have that fit. Yeah, that's exactly right. We just talked about that too. Very good. And fantastic. Julian says, I have a feeling this will all work out. Trump knows we demand justice. Yeah, I think so too. I think better days are here. Make no mistake about it. Obviously, if Donald Trump would not have won, this would be a different type of day right now today. I mean, there would be a very scary time in our history. And make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, this was a blowout on the electoral college size of it. But when you look at the actual difference in the votes, and it's been about a week since I've looked at the difference, but from what I remember, Donald Trump is ahead, let's say 2.5 million votes. Unfortunately, that's only a few percentage points of the entire vote total. So it's a lot closer than I'd like to admit. However, let's don't lose sight of how historic this is and what a victory this is, because first of all, it is a blowout if you look at the Electoral College. Additionally, Donald Trump, as a Republican, won the popular vote, which is somewhat unusual. It's not something that has always happened in American history for a Republican candidate. And then I would finally submit that it's all the more impressive Donald Trump was able to pull this out, considering you had every major news network. I would argue at times you had Fox News coming out against President Donald Trump at the time. I mean, it just wasn't the same type of friendly coverage I've seen him have in the past. But for sure, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all the so-called legacy media, they came out, and I mean, it was a full throat swipe job on President Trump. I mean, every piece of coverage was negative. The context, the way it's just shocking to the brain when you turn on the TV. I got to where I stopped watching it first thing in the morning, make sure I had my coffee, wake up a couple hours, and then turn on that nonsense, because you turn on Good Morning America, and the first thing you would see would be it just always slanted. You know, no matter what Donald Trump did, they found a way to word it to where it looked like a terrible thing. And it always looked like he committed a crime or was trying to hide something. Fortunately for us, most Americans were able to see through that nonsense. And I would also say that the good news about all that is, even though Donald Trump looks calm now and he talks about success is going to be my revenge, mark my words right now, when Donald Trump takes office, it's going to be like a huge tornado is going to hit everything at one time. But it's a good tornado, because he is not going to take what he just took and not do something about it. Now, he's going, in his mind, he's going to change the system, drain the swamp, whatever phrase you wish to use. And he's going to do that with the thinking in his mind that he's doing this for the better good. And I think that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But I'm just telling you, this is going to be a seismic event in our country. It's really going to be earth shattering. Can you imagine all the times he had been sitting down there in that New York courtroom in front of Judge Merchant every single day, as he would say, freezing his backside off, listening to Alvin Bragg and these prosecutors lie and distort, and that Judge Merchant ruling against him every day. I think he was held in contempt 10 different times. I mean, had Donald Trump not won, he knows he would likely be sent to Rikers Island. I don't see any other way around that. He was convicted of 34, 36 different Class C felonies, fined 10 times by that judge. How could he not send him to jail with 34 felonious verdicts that were returned by a jury? I'm telling you, that's exactly what would happen. This president has to be boiling, knowing there was FBI agents out at his personal house, going through his wife's underwear drawer, invading his privacy the way it was invaded, hauling off all the stuff they hauled off. They gave him the indignity of having to go to Fulton County to Fannie Willis and give a mugshot. And then everybody associated with him, they decided to go ahead and take to the guillotine with them. And a lot of these people have convictions on their record right now. I know a lot of them are working to have these convictions redone or thrown out. But my point is, you can call it revenge. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I'll call it revenge. It's coming. And I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you. At first, I was thinking no. But when I saw the video of the New York Attorney General, that sweet, was that Letitia James up there, and her right after the election coming out saying, hey, this ain't going to stop nothing. I'm going to hit him even harder. And remember, it wasn't just Donald Trump that got hit. They went after his children. They went after his family. His right-hand accountant that served his dad, Fred Trump, for years, he's in Rikers Island right now. The list goes on and on of all the things they have done to this man, his children, his family. They've tried taking every dollar from him that he has. They literally are trying to steal his property in New York State, literally trying to take it over. Letitia James talking about how she can't wait to rip his name off and put another name on there, whatever. I mean, I don't see this as going to be something he's going to take lying down. And I'm sure most of y'all probably agree with that. Thank you for that, Julianne. Zach, the just don't answer policy is really discussed. Yes, it is, but that's the way it goes. But remember this too, Zach, we also have that benefit of not answering or claiming we can't remember something. I think it is discussing, but just remember two can play at that. Unfortunately, these people that commit these crimes, at least in my estimation, they're not good at playing the game in reverse. And I give you Exhibit A and Exhibit B, Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade. They'll get on the stand and they have said under oath many times that our relationship did not start till after November 2021. Our relationship ended in the summer 2023. I mean, this is stuff all under oath. They went on all these vacations and yet they only paid cash and they paid each other via cash or whatever it is. There is a ton of things they have said under oath that are clearly perjuries. There's going to be a mugshot of Fannie Willis. There's going to be a mugshot of Nathan Wade. Even Fannie Willis now, it's another little story I'm working on. She's still refusing to cooperate. There's a local judge there in Atlanta that gave her 5 business days, and it's past the 5 business days now, to turn over the records to, Legal Watch and Tim Fitton. Or I think, it's the guy over at Judicial Watch. I think it's Tim Felton, Tim Fitton, whatever his name is. She has not turned over those records, and she doesn't want to turn them over because she knows these records are going to hang her. They're going to hang Nathan Wade, and they're going to hang Jack Smith, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, because these documents are going to show what we already know has happened, and that this was a grand conspiracy on a huge, large scale, and they know it, and they're going to be held accountable for it. So real quickly, we got about 17, 18 people on the X platform. Thank you for being here. If you wouldn't mind hitting the heart, and if you would be so kind as to subscribe to the channel, I appreciate it. It's free, helps out the channel. I think I got 11, 12 viewers on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And hello to our friends on Twitch. All right. So I hope that gave you some my perspective on that, Zach. Thank you for that comment. And Julianne, Trump will investigate the 2020 election. Joe might lose that, right? Yeah, I would say that anything that Joe Biden has done that is not covered under this large blanket of being president of the United States. In other words, let's say there's criminal activity from 2014 when he was vice president, or there was criminal activity when he wasn't in office, when Donald Trump was serving. And, we're just going on hypotheticals here, but let's say they were able to show he's the big guy. He's the one receiving this money. It's basically an influence peddling scheme of some sort. I think there is serious criminal exposure there. Supreme Court was very clear that the president has complete immunity. No problem with that. And for the most part, everything on the peripheral has what they called an assumption of immunity. But if it has nothing to do with your job and it's outside that particular circle, yes, he has criminal liability. But folks, when it comes to Joe Biden, it's kind of like the Robert Hur report stated. I don't see a jury ever convicting him of anything. The man is 82 years old. He's clearly not home. And it's like Robert Hur said, he presents himself as an elderly, well-meaning gentleman. I don't see a jury in the world that would ever convict him on anything. And imagine if a trial, hypothetically, against Joe Biden took place. Where would you have that? I mean, you would have to clearly forum shop, just like Jack Smith and these other people did. When you had Judge, Tanya Chunkin or whatever, out of the D.C. circuit, you don't want Joe Biden tried in a D.C. circuit. It's 95, 96%, if not more, Democrat. I mean, it just ain't gonna happen. Now, the people in the peripheral area, so to speak, yeah, they definitely have liability. Anybody not granted a pardon is probably going to face justice. And I do think there's a chance that, with the exception probably of Joe Biden, I just don't see it because of his age, but I could be wrong. The other bad actors, yeah, I would say in some of these Republican jurisdictions, they may do what I call a Fannie Willis job in him, but we'll see. we'll see how that goes. So anyway, thank you for that, Julianne. Candace Owen interviewed Ashley Merchant. You know, I have reached out to Ashley Merchant. I love her. I think she is so fantastic. She's beautiful. She's intelligent. She's the complete package when it comes to an aggressive attorney doing everything she can to represent her client, Michael Roman, and I applaud her. I think she did a fantastic job. I have reached out to her office, and Ashley, if you're listening, give me a call. My number's on the bottom of the screen. Love to have you on the program and do an interview on this channel. But all joking aside, obviously she's busy. She's got a lot of stuff going on. I don't necessarily see her accepting my invitation to come on this channel, but you never know. She might not. But it doesn't hurt nothing to drop an email, reach out, make a phone call, and I'll let you know if that ever happens. But she does give a lot of interviews to Candace Owen, some of the bigger channels and Fox News. I see her on there once in a while, but she's fantastic. He's very fortunate to have had her as an attorney. Had it not been for her, this Fani Willis case might have had a different ending. At least it might have went a different way because of her and her. Remember, she's the one through just her efforts. I mean, she's tenacious. I mean, she's the definition of being tenacious. She went after anybody and everybody that she could to get information. And then she come across that one ex-partner, that friend, I would imagine he's an ex-friend now, of Nathan Wade. And boy, it was the equivalent of a huge bomb of some sort, because that's exactly what happened. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but y'all know who I'm talking about. It was that stocky looking black gentleman, that bald headed. His name will pop in my head here in a minute. If y'all know it, you can pop it in the chat. He was one of the first witnesses, and it was her conversation with him that blew this wide open, because if my memory serves him right, he was talking about the fact that Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, had a relationship a long, long time before she ever hired him to be the so-called RICO expert. It is so stinking obvious what happened in this case. It's basically, what would it be? It's extortion. It's stealing taxpayer money. It's called a honest service crime. That's one of the technical terms for it. We've talked about that on this channel many times. There are a huge amount of state and or federal laws that these individuals could be brought up and charged with accordingly. And remember, Fulton County has been a corrupt county as far as I remember the county. This is the same county that imprisoned MLK Jr. Had it not been for JFK, we probably would never have heard of MLK Jr. The Atlanta Constitution Journal actually had a report publishing the formal apology from Fulton County back from that time frame, because they literally went after MLK, and the intention was not just to imprison him, but lose the room. You can Google it. Just type in apology to the MLK family from Fulton County. I think it was in 2020 when they issued that particular policy. But at any rate, Fulton County is corrupt. They're just corrupt to the core. Someone like Fani Willis, these people are all corrupt. I don't think there's another way to describe it. From what I've seen on YouTube and other reports that I've studied, they have done this many times before, obviously not on this scale. They would have something small and be milking it for money. You know, a little bit with this scam, a little bit with this scam. And when they had this Donald Trump thing fall into their lap, they're like, wow, we hit the big time. And then you had her office effectively paying not just state taxpayer money, my friends. Remind you, there was also money from the feds. I think it was some misappropriated COVID money that they paid. And it was anywhere between $750,000 to $1 million that they paid Nathan Wade to be the so-called RICO expert on this case, racketeering, internally corrupt organizations. That is a joke. Nathan Wade, as far as I can tell, has never, ever prosecuted a single criminal defendant. Not one, much less a RICO expert. Them are the facts. It's going to be interesting to see how they're able to explain this once Donald Trump takes office, but they have serious culpability and liability in my estimation. And remember, there's that video out there where Fani Willis with her compadre Nathan Wade showed up down just south of Fulton County at a scene where her then pregnant daughter was getting a ticket by the police. She gets out of the car, introduces herself, and guess what? Nathan Wade's right there with her introducing himself. And this is after they allegedly broke up in the summer of 2020. I could go on and on, on and on and on when it comes to sweet Fannie Wilson, Nathan Wade. Corruption at the core, and it needs to be snuffed out in the strongest, most deliberate manner absolutely possible under the law. Not even so much as revenge. I'll take it as revenge, but it needs to be done for the good of America. So the message can be sent that this type of behavior cannot happen in America. Every country in the world, every great empire in the world has at one point failed. It's no longer in existence. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, the great Roman Empire. One of the primary reasons they failed was corruption. A corrupt society will not last in perpetuity. It will not. It just does not. Eventually, it crumbles for one reason or another. And if the United States is special and it has a special formula, I believe it really, there's two major factors. Number one, it's a blessing from God. I fully believe that all throughout my heart. I don't think anybody that is logically thinking through this can disagree with that. Look at all the blessings in our country. Our country was set up for blessings. We got oceans on both sides. We have the Mississippi River that its delta system allows for transport of goods over 2/3 of the country, and it's natural. All of our coastlines are protected by these beautiful natural barrier islands. I can go on and on and on. This is a place God had set up a long time ago to make sure that we had this place as a home, as a blessing to the entire world. And I'm not going to just keep elaborating about that. The obvious blessings are just innumerable. It's just unbelievable. And I think the second thing that has helped us, and it's really important, is that people can depend on the United States. We generally don't have the corruption that we see rampant all over the world. That's the reason why people like our dollar. They know that if they put money in the United States banking system, they're going to have their money. There's not going to be a revolution. There's not going to be someone stealing it. And it's that trust. It's that trust that allows our country to keep going. There's many other reasons, but that's the way I see it. So, Julianne, thank you for that question. I know I get sidetracked quickly, but it is what it is. And Zach, I'm very proud of my son. I guess you're talking about Hunter Biden. Yeah. Who does not want to have a son that grows up to be I got to think how I can put this for YouTube's approval, but we've talked about it here on this channel. The allegations around him are pretty heinous. And listen, just to be straight up about it, I can handle an adult doing drugs. That's their business. I know most of you probably don't agree with me, but I'm pretty libertarian, and a lot of that goes, if you're an adult, you're not harming someone else. I don't know why it's anybody's business. But the other allegations of harming innocents, and let's just say younger individuals, that's disturbing, to put it bluntly. So I'm sure his dad is very proud of his son. I know that we all have children, or the ones of us that do have children, we have children that are definitely not perfect and they make mistakes. And I don't fault Joe Biden for issuing the pardon. What his son has done is obviously somewhat unconscionable, but I don't blame him for issuing the pardon. It really kind of makes me laugh on some level. All these people shocked, even now on TV, they're like, wow, can you believe he did that? Can you believe he issued a pardon to his son? I saw some commentator talk about, how does that teach your kids responsibility? How does it? I'm like, man, you know, come on. Anybody would really allow their only surviving child at 54 years of age to go to prison for 25 in a cage that he might not survive? He may never walk free again. And yet you have the ability with a pen to make it not happen? Of course you would. I would think the overwhelming vast majority of us would. But what I do find unconscionable, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that they did so much gaslighting. That's the term nowadays, gaslighting. They did so much gaslighting on all of us about this. Joe Biden was asked repeatedly, are you going to pardon your son? Nope. Nope, not going to do it. That's it. Nothing else to talk about. I said no, it's no. And how about that John Pierre, whatever her name is? How many times has she told us no? She goes, I've answered this question before. It's a no yesterday. It's a no today. It's a no tomorrow. I wouldn't want to have her job, by the way. That has to be a very difficult job. But yes, Zach, I'm sure he is very proud of his son. It is what it is. And I think we all would have done it had it been our child. Just the way it goes. Sapphire. Oh, AV interviewed Ashley. I have to check that out. I did not know that. I think I have some alerts. I use alerts a lot for Google and stuff like that to keep track of just different stories that I want to follow. So I'll have to check into that and see. Julianne, exactly unreal. Okay, we know what we're talking about on those videos. I've seen, I don't want to say I've seen the videos, but I've seen snapshots. I don't care anything about seeing the videos, but it's truly heinous, truly unconscionable on many levels. But thank you, Julianne, for that. Yes, I've seen images of the diary too. 2 million government jobs. Yes, lots of government jobs, and I'm sure that a lot of this, if Donald Trump and his new administration, with all the resources he has and all the experience he has going forward, if he cannot make a difference in what's going on with our country, I don't think rationally anybody will ever be able to have this opportunity again to get our country on a new path, to have some more accountability, not just as far as money goes, but of course, as far as spending goes, as far as our place in the world, our role in the world, setting the example of how a good society should be. So we'll see how that all works out. Sapphire says, yeah, the diary and recent reports that Hunter. Yeah, okay, we'll move on. See, Sapphire, okay, yeah, AV, I like her channel too. Yeah, I know that there's all kinds of videos out there of Hunter. He is definitely a card. So I want to make sure I don't lose my, okay, yay, God, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. And yes, Tim Fitton, thank you for that. I knew it was Tim something, but I was trying to choke it up right there. So thank you for that. Yay, God, I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for the comment. Congress, Julianne says, Congress will finish the job of Fanning and her gang. I think so, too. I think they're in trouble. I think they have some real serious potential liability. If I was Fannie, thank God I'm not. If I was, I would have dropped this case a long time ago, definitely after Donald Trump was reelected as president-elect, and I would be making some kind of concession, some kind of overture to him, basically saying, you know what, I thought I was doing the right thing. This is what the Biden White House wanted me to do. I would definitely try to get on his good side and work with him to try to make sure this could never happen again. Whatever. I'd be putting on a different face than the face she has now. And I won't tell you what that face is because I try to keep this program very PG. So I think we understand what's going on there. Thank you, Julianne, for that. Not mentally able to do a court hearing on the mishandled document. Yeah, he's got some serious problems upstairs. Tom, not Tim. Oh, it's Tim Fitton, right? Is it Tom Fitton or Tim Fitton? I think it's Tim Fitton. Thank you for everybody checking in with me on this. She was interviewed. Yes, she was. I'll check into that later, Mark. Thank you for that. Yeah, and she had a lot of fantastic help. Absolutely. Okay, I think we're getting near the end of the comments. I appreciate everybody being so responsive. See, Tiffany Henyard is running again. Okay. All right, looks good. See, TLA is in Atlanta, and AV was telling her about go back to my shoes. So yeah, they have a lot of stuff going on. I would not want to be on the receiving side of exactly what they're about to experience. Yeah, cringe, John Pierre. Thank you, Sapphire. Tim Fitton. Tom Fitton. Oh, it is Tom Fitton. Okay. Wait, I got Tim in my brain. Y'all know that on this channel, I'm the world's worst with names. I apologize. I will tell you, when we get to the shooter here in just a minute. I actually wrote down some. I learned with phonics. You know, like you write it out the way it sounds. So I'm going to try to make sure I can say names correctly. I have to actually give it some. I have to give it some serious effort to make sure that I say names and whatnot correct. But anyway, I hope that was helpful, Sapphire, on this particular part, and thanks for bringing that up. I think that is something worth checking out. So, amen to that. Okay, I want to make sure I keep track of time because I want to hit the big stories. I'm going to switch from the feed at this time, and let me set us up. Let's go ahead and get right in to what's going on with Donald Trump Jr. And I'm going to take a look at who his alleged new girl is. I always find that interesting. I generally try to stay away from some of the soap opera type stuff, but then again, sometimes I don't. Especially when it's something like this. It's a little interesting. All right, this is like I said, this is new today. This is from page6.com online. Donald Trump Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle have split, multiple sources say, and he's photographed with Palm Beach socialite. So we're going to take a look and see exactly who she is and what we think's going on. It says Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle have broken up, sources tell page 6. Insiders add that Trump Jr. has moved on with a Palm Beach socialite. Her name is Bettina Anderson. There have been rumors for months that Don Jr. and Guilfoyle's relationship has been on the rocks. Multiple sources have told us recently that the political power couple had split or were on shaky ground. And you know what? I've always thought she was a beautiful woman, Kimberly Guilfoyle. So, and I thought they had a good relationship. I know some of y'all have made comments about how she is in person, or I should say in public. She has another side that I am definitely not aware of, but I just always thought she was highly intelligent, beautiful woman. And, but I guess if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, right? So it continues. Multiple sources have told us recently the power couple had split over in Shake Ground. Don and Kimberly have been getting along over the past year, one source said. They had an argument at Mar-a-Lago in front of people. That can never be good, right? Have arguments in front of other people. That's something I try to avoid at all costs. If I'm going to have an argument with anyone, especially a girlfriend, whatever, don't want to do it publicly. It just goes down from there. Or you definitely don't want to argue and then tell family about it. You know what I'm talking about? You can have a couple, they have a fight, and then someone gets on the phone and they tell someone else in the family that you just had a fight and he's no good and he's a such and such. The couple will forgive and get back together, but the family will not. So if you don't know that, don't do that. At any rate, they've been on shaky ground. They had an argument from a lot of people. Adding to the rumors, Don Jr. has been photographed multiple times with Anderson. That cannot be good either. And of course, thanks to Dad, a.k.a. Donald Trump president-elect, he's kind of helping his son out. He gave Kimberly Guilfoyle the new job as United States ambassador to Greece, right? Thank you, Daddy, right? Okay, at the same time, Page 6 reported exclusively the couple had split. The announcement that President Donald Trump, here it is here, Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump named Guilfoyle as U.S. ambassador to Greece. So it's also reported in this article. Guilfoyle said Tuesday that she was honored to accept Trump's nomination, which requires Senate approval. I don't see any issue with her getting Senate approval. And there's a picture of the happy former couple right there. And here's Donald Trump Jr.'s new squeeze right here. And let's see. Okay, that was the caption. It says Don Jr. has been photographed with Palm Beach socialite Bettina Anderson. And that's her picture right there, if y'all can see that. I got some more pictures, I think, coming up here. Another source told us the relationship was rocky, while two other sources said they split. So we'll see what the truth is. I guess a source told Page 6 on Tuesday, Bettina and Don have been together a few months and are a super cute and happy together couple. It's just a natural fit. Everybody is happy for them. On Tuesday, the Daily Mail published images of Don Jr. and Anderson holding hands in public after an alleged romantic meal at Buscan to celebrate her 19th birthday. No, I'm joking. She's 38. My sense of humor is sometimes dry, and that's a good picture of her right there. Socialite, right? Sounds like it should be on one of those shows, Housewives of Palm Beach or something like that. I don't know. But she's an attractive woman for sure. All right, a source told Page 6 that they saw Don Jr. and Anderson at Buchan in a corner booth together, looking cozy and holding hands. The source said he was chatting with customers on his way out and very friendly. And they have said, according to a report in Daily Mail, the pair has also been spending their nights at Anderson's place. Ooh. And a couple more pictures right here. Trump is 46. Guilfoyle's 55. I always thought that would be a problem too. I knew that she was considerably older than he was. And generally, you'll see a guy that's older, but having a woman that is younger like that it's not unheard of, but it's more unusual. I know I'm getting close to politically correct in territory here, so this is an alert, politically incorrect coming soon here, but it is what it is. Anybody says Trump 46, they've began dating in 2018, and they've been engaged since 2020. Trump and Anderson were also photographed in September looking cozy at Honor Bar at Palm Beach, and they were allegedly locking lips. So we kind of get the idea what's going on there. That's a good picture of Guilfoyle and Don Trump. So I guess it is what it is, right? That's a good picture of them right there. It says had speaking engagements that all the way up until the election night. Yeah, well, they look like they were pretty happy for the longest time. But like I said, there were rumors too. I know that when Ivanka Trump was married, actually she wasn't married. It was who was it that got married? Someone had a wedding. Oh no, it was it Ivanka Trump's wedding? I'll have to double check, but it was some wedding, and I think it was Ivanka's wedding or some kind of affair she had. But anyway, the bottom line was they actually cropped Guilfoyle out of one of the pictures. That was kind of like salacious news at the time it was happening. But on the lighter side, and it's somewhat lighter. I've always thought that Guilfoyle not only is she beautiful, she's just very well spoken. And I think she's clearly been an asset to President Donald Trump elect. Okay, so let's take a quick peek and let's just see who this woman is. I don't want to get to the shooter before we shut down because I have the actual manifesto that I want us to take a look at. But let's go ahead and see who this lady is real quick. All right, so this is from People magazine. Who is Bettina Anderson? All about the socialites spotted holding hands with Donald Trump Jr. And this is dated today, December 11th. There's their picture. There's her picture. All right, Donald Trump Jr. has been linked to socialite Bettina Anderson amid reports that he and his fiancee Kimberly Guilfoyle have been spending more time apart. The eldest son of President Donald Trump elect has been seen with Anderson in August 2024 before being spotted again on December 9th as they held hands during a nighttime stroll around Palm Beach, Florida. Though Trump has been engaged to former Fox News anchor Guilfoyle since 2020, sources told People in September 2024 that the two were allegedly spending less time together. All right, let's see who she is. All right, she is the daughter of two well-known philanthropists. Wow, that's a good picture over there. I think she's not ugly by any stretch, right? Anderson was born in December 1986 to entrepreneur Harry Lou Anderson Jr. and philanthropist Eager Anderson. She grew up in Palm Beach, Florida, where she continues to reside today. Her father became the youngest bank president in the U.S. when he started leading Worth Avenue National Bank 26 years ago. Together, he and Inger became a well-known as a philanthropic couple, with Harry serving as a board member on the Historical Society of Palm Beach County and the National Board of Governors for the American Red Cross, per his obituary. It goes on. My mom has always been an inspiration to me, Anderson told Fashion Week Daily in March 2022. Harry and Eager welcomed 5 children in addition to Anderson, and it lists their names out right here. So they got a big family. She's obviously an attractive, well-to-do woman. She had parents that were good parents, apparently, and they're obviously woven very tightly into that particular community there in Palm Beach. She founded a charity with her brother. So like we expect, they're doing all type of charitable, philanthropic type of work. Following in her parents' footsteps, Anderson founded the Paradise Fund, a nonprofit that helps local organizations with disaster relief. In October 2021, Anderson helmed an offshoot of the company with the Project Paradise Film Fund, which supports storytelling surrounding Florida's natural wildlife, with the proceeds going to conservation efforts. One of the greatest focuses of my life is how I can be of service to others and be a steward of the environment, Anderson told Fashion Week Daily. As of April 2023, she is the executive director of the nonprofit, which has since been renamed Paradise.ngo. All right, and this just goes on. They were first linked together in 2024. And pretty well what we've already went over. Though Trump has been in a relationship with Guilfoyle since 2018, he was first spotted on a brunch date with Anderson August 2024, per photographs obtained by the Daily Mail. All right, well, I think that pretty well covers what we need to know at this point. So it's unfortunate to see them two breaking up, but I think both of them will be fine one way or the other. He's obviously found himself another girl he's interested in. And I am very certain that Guilfoyle is not going to have any trouble finding herself another man. They're both very good people, as far as I can tell, and they'll land on their feet, right? They'll figure it out. All right, now we're going to switch gears. We're going to head into talking about the most famous shooter that's been around for a long time. Let's pull this up because I actually have the manifesto that I want to drill into. Let me see which one I want to pull up for time. I want to make sure that that we cover all of this as fast as I can on some of this here. All right, let me just share the screen. This will be the best way to do it, because I pulled up 3 or 4 different articles. I'm not going to read through each one of them, but there are different things in the articles I think you'll find interesting, because one of these I have not heard anybody talk about in the news. It has to do with a bag of bullets that was discovered in Central Park. So just kind of interesting. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, looks good. Let me see if we have any other quick questions, and we'll dive into this here. Let's see. See, JR, new girlfriend, is friends with JR's ex Vanessa. Yay, God. Thank you for you. I see you guys chatting back and forth. She goes after rich men. That's a good way to look at it, dear Julianne. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that's just kind of the way it is in these communities, in these wealthy communities, I should say. You're generally going to have people that kind of date from their pool, so to speak. There's a lot of reasons for that. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. But yeah, she obviously focuses on wealthier men. Zach says it won't cost much to feed her. Yeah, I could imagine. I'd imagine she definitely is high maintenance, right? Is that what they say? Yay, God, Zach, he seems to like the starved look. Yeah, she is kind of thin looking. I agree. Give me 1 second to grab a sip of tea. I wish I could say it's a Long Island iced tea, but y'all know I don't drink. But, okay, here we go. Now, a lot of news going on today with, and I want to make sure I say his name correct, Luigi Maggiano. All right, so Luigi. All right, here we go. The Luigi obsession reveals a dangerous trend that threatens our world. This was an article that I came across today in this. It's called Metro. It's actually from Britain, out of the UK, and they're talking about what we have been talking about by going over his Twitter account, his X account. Clearly, this guy is very PO'd about stuff going on with his body. Now, this is going to be a little bit something different that y'all may not have heard, and I want to be delicate about how I put this, but let me pull the main thing out of what I wanted to take, because this one article is talking about exactly why he may have done what he done and what they're thinking. And this is from the Daily Mail. This is getting into the good stuff right here. They think a lack of adult relationship has turned him into a killer potentially. There's also rumors that he might be gay. And not that there's necessarily anything wrong with him being gay, but the point of this is that that has created additional stress on him. But at the end of the day, they are thinking this severe injury he has, because he either has something that is called spondylolisthesis, because you know that diagram we looked at yesterday where he has all these screws drilled into his back. I think I got a picture of it here. He's got all kind. There it is, right there. You see this right here? That this is some kind of injury. We do not know if he was injured or if this is something that is what they call congenital. He was just effectively born with this. But this was the x-ray that was on his X account that we took a look at yesterday. And what it is when you have problems in this area, as a man especially, it can cause issues with the nerves in that area, and it can cause problems with performance. And they think that that was something that is a high probability in this guy's situation. We've all heard of incels and stuff like this. Well, this is kind of where this is leading to. Let's hit this article, just a different and interesting perspective that might have contributed to this tragedy. It goes on. Doctors reveal how a lack of adult relationships can turn men into killers. Doctors have raised the prospect that sexual frustration may have played a role in the healthcare CEO's assassination, as speculation swirls about the alleged killer's motive. Luigi, 26, is said to have been unable to perform because of a debilitating lower back injury that caused him constant pain, according to a friend and former roommate who he lived with while he was at a surf camp in Hawaii. It goes on. His friends say the lower back pain also caused Mangione, okay, I'm sorry to say it, Mangione to retreat away from his friends and family and quit sports, surfing, and hiking. You kind of have to have some empathy for this kid on one hand. You can imagine, or maybe you can't imagine, being in your 20s, I think what they say he's 26, and you're suffering with these types of problems. Now, we all have problems, things happen, but I mean, on a human level, I would imagine that would be terrible. It says psychiatrists say that sexual frustration can leave someone with feelings of anger and frustration over being unable to find a partner, which they blame society for. Violent attacks may be carried out as an emotional release. This doctor, who's a psychiatrist in Britain, told the Daily Mail it definitely is the case that there is a link between adult frustration and attacks. We've seen some famous examples in history. Sex is really such a powerful drive that it is difficult to break out of the vision, unlike with others, such as a desire for money. Trump's would be assassin, that Matthew Cooks, y'all remember him. He was definitely said to be an incel, right? Appears to have been in the same situation as far as frustration. He was watching, we'll call it corn, you know what I'm talking about, before trying to kill the then presidential candidate. And experts have also previously drawn a link between this frustration and mass shooters and murderers, according to Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter, had child abuse images on his phone. There's this other person, Elliot Rodger. He whacked off 6 people. Same type of thing, right? And you can see this guy, I mean, I'm not a judge of guys, obviously, but this kid looks like he's muscular, well put together. I would imagine many women would find him attractive. And it's unfortunate. Obviously, he had this problem. It says in 2023, a 2023 study on 170 mass problems here in the U.S. from 1960 to 2021 found that about a third of the shooters had this type of frustration. They were also 6 times more likely to have a history of committing other types of crimes in this area, and were also more likely to have a strong desire for fame. I'd imagine so. Yeah, we don't have to get into every little piece of this, but the bottom line is that kind of makes sense. That's something I really haven't heard on the news. I don't know if y'all have or not, but it has to do with this kid definitely had some serious medical problems. It might have caused him issues with adult relationships that could have led to more frustration, more anger that can translate into his thinking not being correct, to say the least. You know, folks, it's simple as this. I can imagine that he did have a lot of problems, and he was a pretty angry young man. I can imagine if I started to make a joke, but I decided I'm not going to. Here's a picture of his family. He says, Mangione is seen here with his sisters and parents. In an undated photo, his mother said she had no contact with him since July 1st, and she also reported him missing. So, you know, that kind of makes sense. This kid's got some serious, probably depression and some mental anxieties, mental anguish. He's not thinking straight. He's going off the deep end, and you can see him right here. If you're looking at your screen, he should be on your left, I would think, second from the left. So there's mom, dad, and his two sisters. Kind of a sad situation when you get right down to it, but I don't know. We don't all go out and kill just because we're mad or we're not getting everything the exact way that we want something to be. And it says why Luigi killed United Healthcare CEO, a chronic back pain link. Chronic back pain has emerged as a point of interest in the murder investigation of United Healthcare CEO, who this guy apparently knocked off. So there again, you see him being dragged into court the other day, and then all these things sticking in his back, all these screws and nails. Ouch. That just looks terrible. That is not good. I also wanted to mention, here is his actual manifesto. Now, this is not that easy to come across, but this one guy has a website. It's called KenKlippenstein.com if you're interested. He went ahead and published the entire manifesto. I don't know why a lot of these agencies do not want to publish this, but apparently they don't, or they only give little bits and pieces of it. But I will go ahead and read a little bit to you. I realize my screen's freezing on and off. I apologize for the internet around here. All right, I'm just going to read this real quick. It says, to the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, and a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and a to-do list that illuminates the grist out of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much information there. I do apologize for, and this has been reported on the news, I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is and they can't decipher it, has the blank largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. Imagine that too. This CEO was walking around with no protection, no bodyguard. I didn't even realize this till I heard this the other day. If you go by just what a company makes, as far as what companies make the most money, this particular company, United Healthcare, was ranked 4th, only behind Apple, Google, and Walmart. And yet its CEO making approximately 10 million plus a year was walking around on the street with no protection. Not a good idea, right? So continuing on, it has grown and grown, but our life expectancy? No. The reality is indecisive, it's not able to be translated. These blank, whatever he said, had simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allow them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I don't have the space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed. And he gives some examples, Roths and all, and more, decades ago, and the problem simply remained. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Interesting, ain't it? And then, of course, that jacket that he wore that everybody sees on the video and whatnot, that particular jacket, I think it's like a $250 jacket. It's been flying off the shelves everywhere. Can't even keep it in stock here. So, all right, let me just see if I got any questions right here. Y'all had excellent questions tonight. I sincerely appreciate comments, questions, and whatever. Yeah, you're right, too. The CEOs, Julianne, the CEO hit lists are being posted. I saw that. They're posting the information wanted or whatever on posters all around New York. That's pretty scary. Yeah, God, healthcare will be far worse. Yeah, I thought that too, in jail or prison than he had available. He's definitely not going to get the best healthcare, but you know what? There's always the possibility that when he gets to New York, he may get a favorable deal from this woke, nutty Alvin Bragg. Who knows? Maybe we'll give him a 5-year sentence for this particular murder. And by the way, in New York, this is not first-degree murder. That might be a surprise to some of us. You would think it's first-degree murder, but generally a first-degree murder in New York State has to have some type of aggravating circumstance, such as, some other crime, like we were talking about, some type of assault crime in addition to the actual murder. This is considered technically a second-degree murder under the laws there in New York. They just have some really, really wacky and crazy laws, to say the least, there in New York. I would also say, I can imagine Alvin Bragg giving him a 5-year sentence, 10-year, maybe 15 years. Who knows? He may be out sooner than he thinks he's out. And he's relatively a young man. He's only, 26 years old, so he's a young man. I don't necessarily think he's going to be spending a terrible amount in jail, which is kind of shocking. But, yeah, God, you make a good point there. He's not going to get the health care that he needs. Yeah, chronic pain, nothing to lose. I'm sure a lot of us have aches and pains and have problems. I'm sure this kid probably had a lot of pain, probably has a lot of pain. See, it said, look at the number 286. He uses it. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff online about what his intentions were, what kind of clues or cryptic messages was he leaving. Had to be done. Valedictorian. You know what's interesting? Not only is he a valedictorian of his class, that all boys school, he had that privileged upbringing. The guy that he killed, that CEO, this guy started with very humble beginnings, if you will. He was the valedictorian of his high school. And then I think he went to Iowa State, Ohio State. He was the valedictorian of his class. Interesting. So both of these were extremely smart individuals. And so Zach, a hard prison cut will do. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be looking for health care in the prison system. Zach, you must not have considered. Yeah, she's not considering. Clearly, this kid's not thinking right, folks. He's delusional to some point. I would imagine he's depressed. He has isolated himself. He has no one to really talk to basically bark some sense back to him. And I'm sure he just kind of fed on himself, and he just thought he was a self-appointed righteous type of right fighter, if you will, and he's just wrong. And have you noticed a lot of these people too, they don't have any type of religious background? I couldn't find nothing on him. He obviously was never taught about God and his place in the world. And, it just, a lot of these people that are extreme disadvantages when they don't have these type of backgrounds, they don't have these type of roots to draw from. It sounds like he had a loving family. He just went off the deep end. We'll just have to wait and see what else transpires for that. But yeah, Zach, you're right. He's definitely going to have some tough times in the prison cell, and he's not going to get the most fantastic health care as you can imagine, being in there. So, all right, I'm going to start landing the plane right here. Appreciate everybody being with me. Until we meet again, hopefully tomorrow night. I hope God blesses each and every one of you. Y'all have a good evening, good day tomorrow, and may his special anointing be on each and every one of you. Always like to tell you, keep your mind free. Never get up. Never give up. Till next time, I am J.R. Dukes.